And, you know, I'm not the boss of anything, but I'm really pleased to see the composting and recycling being geared up here in town. I still like to see more in front of City Market and the Clark's Market. They repaired the parking lot at the Aspen Country Inn where I live. They did a great job, and they did it overnight. I couldn't believe it. I commend this RAFTA bus free ride program going up and down the valley. I don't know if it's really going to reduce congestion, but, you know, let's hope. I ride by all the cars in the parking lot, or the roundabout, every morning. Thank you, everyone, and the City of Aspen for supporting KJAX and KD&K. We had a record membership drive, over $20,000 despite federal cuts. The bike trail is a little hairy coming into town still with people speeding on e-bikes. Incredible. And, you know, people riding with phones and stuff like that. Oh, I'm breaking out into a sweat. East and West Hallam seems a little bit safer. No one's come after me with a stick lately. No one's rolling through the stop signs, but it's not every moment. Our frequent rain and little snowfall is creating carbon drawdown, which is really nice to see. That helps the environment. And thanks for resetting the clock at Main and Monarch. It's really working on time, and repairing the corner at Main and Monarch in front of Carl's Pharmacy, which is one of the hubs of this community. I made it in 3 minutes.
You did. And thanks for the observations and the updates. We appreciate that.
We appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Francis.
Okay, additional public comment. Tony, if you're here for comment. Oh, okay. Here we go.
I'm here for comment.
All right, Breeze.
Good evening, Mayor Richards and the council. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Breeze Richardson. I'm the executive director of Aspen Public Radio. And I had an opportunity to speak at the Board of County Commissioners last week, and so just wanted to follow through and also come speak with you to give you the update in regards to what Francis just alluded to. We've lost federal funding. After over 50 years of bipartisan congressional support for public radio in our country, that funding has been rescinded. So it's not like the radio station was applying for a grant and crossing its fingers or assuming that funding would come through. Rather, Congress appropriated 2 years ago the funding for this year, and that is now rescinded by an act of Congress back in May. So the station now no longer has $210,000 of federal funding that we've had pretty much since inception of the radio station. In response, we've launched a resiliency fund. We are appealing to the community to raise $500,000 to replace that funding for this year, 2025, as well as 2026, which had also been previously appropriated. Along with hedging our bets against some costs we project going up, since we'll no longer have Corporation for Public Broadcasting subsidizing things like our interconnected satellite system, and probably about $60,000 of increased costs next year because of that lost funding. CPBD did so much more than just fund stations or support the work of NPR and PBS directly. The entire system of public media in our country has really relied on and depended on that funding. So we're gonna have to reimagine a new future. And it's our hope that the Resiliency Fund will be a way that we can work towards that, secure the immediate financial needs of the organization while we appeal to our board and think about a larger strategic plan. So as funders of the station and community members who rely on and listen to the radio station, I wanted to make sure that you had access to me. I'm available for questions online, offline. You know, if there's any additional information that I can provide about the station and our work to replace this funding, I wanted to appeal to you to do so. I know how important emergency preparedness is to the council, and I really appreciate the conversations that are already underway about the public infrastructure that the radio station provides the citizens of Aspen, and the reliance we have on it as critical infrastructure in the city. So I'm just here to do due diligence, and I have a handout to share with you with more information, and I stand for questions, and of course, I'm available anytime.
Thank you, Breeze. We appreciate the difficulty that new federal actions have put any number of agencies and nonprofits in.
Well, and let me publicly thank you, Rachel, for signing on. There were a number of electeds at the local and state level across the country who signed a letter of support saying this federal funding is important. These institutions are critical parts of our infrastructure as communities. Unfortunately, that appeal and so many others that we made did not prevent the decision to vote for the Rescission Act by Jeff Hurd and others. But I think raising our voices is important, and so thank you so much for participating in that action.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Breeze.
Welcome.
Hi. Nice to see you. My name is Dr. Lindsay Branham, and to Mayor Richards and the council, it's wonderful to meet you and see you again. First of all, just thank you for your leadership on environmental protection in the city. And so I'm here to talk about a proposed resolution, the rights of nature, and how that could protect our rivers. And federal environmental protections, as we know, are weakening. We can't really rely on those to protect our environment any longer. Droughts are intensifying locally, and we have an opportunity to protect our water and our health through what's called rights of nature. And a really simple explanation is that nature has rights, and we should be able to protect them and ensure them. In 1972, Christopher Stone wrote the article, "Do Trees Have Standing?" which was kind of the first piece that became legal precedent, and then also paradigmatic shift in how we're understanding our interconnection with nature, and not just humans having rights, as well as corporations, entities, trusts. I mean, I think we're very used to in this country giving non-humans rights, so it seems logical that we should be willing to extend those to nature. And we already live in a country where that's possible. So why should a business have more rights than waters where our health depends on them? Aspen, as we know, is so deeply interwoven with nature. Our community depends on nature, not just for recreation and enjoyment and health, and so we have a responsibility to protect it. And the Ecological Bill of Rights, which I know already exists, is a wonderful precedent and a good starting point of how humans can benefit from environmental protections, but none of these rights will be accessible unless nature is protected too. So the right to clean water is, of course, based on the river having clean water to begin with. And the goal of conferring rights to nature is to really secure the highest level of environmental protection under which ecosystems can thrive. Aspen's identity, economy, and residents' health really depend on these waters, and we're also part of the headwaters of the Colorado River, which impacts 40 million people. And so we have the responsibility and the opportunity to lead in how these waters are preserved for generations to come. And if passed, a resolution like this would grant legal rights to the Roaring Fork River, its tributaries, and the Roaring Fork watershed. That includes governance and litigation implications. And this has other legal precedent. In 2008, Ecuador became the first country in the world to formally recognize and implement the rights of nature. In 2017, the Wongai River in New Zealand won legal rights. And in 2010, the City Council of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, unanimously passed an ordinance recognizing the rights of nature. And on the heels of what we just heard, in a time when federal government funding is decreasing and protections are also disappearing, I really think it's critical that we protect our resources at the local level. And a quote from Christopher Stone's article, he said, again, generations ago, decades ago, "There will be resistance to giving the thing rights until it can be seen and valued for itself. Yet it is hard to see it and value it for itself until we can bring ourselves to give it rights." I know we value our rivers, but their health is not guaranteed, and our rivers deserve those protections. So I urge you to consider this resolution and position Aspen as a leader in water protection and human health.
Okay, do you have copies of the resolution? Why don't you give one to our city attorney and the clerk's office right there, and we'll have them redistributed to all of us and get any opinions or other background information and consider this carefully.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think you probably are aware, but Pitkin County is the only county in the state of Colorado that has a 1/10 of 1 cent sales tax dedicated towards healthy rivers and streams.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
Great.
it is. We've used it well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, John, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I would add that Lindsay based that resolution on one that was adopted by the town of Ridgeway.
Oh,
So
okay.
it is, precedent
Active in
has already
Colorado?
been set.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, again, thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate that. Additional public comment, is that you, Mr. Tarver?
Yes, it is, ma'am.
Okay, come on down.
Possibly because our city is, I'm getting old, I don't know people at City Hall, so things don't get done as efficiently as they used to when they knew me. Has to do with paint being dumped. I thought it was something our town didn't really want, taking house paint, and as you clean your brush and everything, just dumping it in a hole in the ground. It's happening at where I live, an affordable housing complex called Victorians of Bleecker. I started raising heck about this 3 weeks ago, and so far I've been told, too bad, so sad, we can't do anything about it. The city has said to me, and it's on 311, you can find it,
Okay,
I've been told over and over, we can't do anything about it. We have no rules on the books which allow us to address someone taking house paint, dumping it in the ground. It doesn't seem right.
no, it doesn't.
Okay, so they feel, the city code may not have something specific for it, just like it doesn't say I cannot murder people. That's kind of a federal law and a state law. But I bet if I shot somebody, you'd still come get me. So it should be, I mean, the EPA says you can't do it. I mean, I even gave 311 17 different statutes that they could go take care of the person. They eventually went to the HOA president, and he said, oh, we won't do it again. This person has lied to you about building permits, lied to the city about building permits twice. He's lied. He has a history of not doing things correctly. And yet nobody knows it because one department got something for building, somebody got it for fire, somebody got it for this. So anyway, just
What is the complex name you,
Victorians of Bleecker.
okay, thank you. I think we can forward this to our environmental health
Yeah,
department.
they've gotten it already, and
It's being
okay.
looked at right now.
There you are, okay.
And what I got was, we talked to the president. I talked to him the other day. He goes, "Oh yeah, a tree fell over a month ago by wind. It was old. It fell over. The hole in the ground is where they dumped the paint." He went in there and said, "Oh, that's just mold. That's what. Yeah, that was been there. That's mold that rotted the roofs of the roots of the tree, and that's why it fell down." No, it's not. It's paint that they put in there. It's splashed on a piece of plastic right next to it. So obviously it was mold from planting the tree 30 years ago. It's not. He just gave him a total bullshit answer, and it was bought. And I'm just, Joey Caudell, Connie Harvey, they wasn't like this. Tim McFlynn, they wasn't like this.
No,
I'm
Dottie
here
would
saying,
not.
library right where Fritz Benedict designed a library right there. It's in his backyard.
Thank you, Charlie. We'll see what we can take a look into that.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, additional public comment. Tony?
Hi, good afternoon. For the record, my name is Toni Kronberg. And I think there's two things in Aspen that's on everyone's minds. The first one is, of course, the entrance to Aspen, and the second one is wildfire evacuation. A week ago today, our emergency response teams that included dispatch, sheriff, Aspen Fire, Warren Fork Fire, the medics, Holy Cross Electric, and Black Hills Energy demonstrated how great of an emergency response teams that we have. We had 3 transformers blow last week, one structure fire at W/J, and the following day, another structure fire down in Old Snowmass. All of these calls came in, the transformer at Aspen Village, the structure fire at Shady Lane with a transformer blowing, the W/J structure fire, mile marker 22, Snowmass Canyon, where I live, and another transformer blew, all within 30 minutes. I spent 25 years of my life in town in emergency response. It was the best response, the quickest I have ever seen in 25 years. And we really need to give a big thank you to all of our crews. What it made me realize is that Smith Hill Road, as you know, is going to be shut off in next year. Pickens County received to sign an IGA with CDOT for $2.5 million to close off that access. During that incident, Smith Hill Road was closed off, so traffic at least an hour from Smith Hill Road to get to the airport. As you know, that is going to increase more traffic coming into Aspen when Smith Hill Road gets down, so we kind of had a trial run. The second thing is, and this makes me more committed to move from a revaluation to a supplemental environmental impact study, was that Smith Hill Road being closed, McLean Flats Road was closed, and Cemetery Lane was closed. That's almost a precursor to what will happen if we have a wildfire in Aspen. As you know, the preferred alternative, only one bridge is going to be going to the roundabout, and that's through a tunnel. McLean Flats Road, just as it was shut off during that structure fire, W/J, that it's going to be shut down if we have a wildfire in Aspen. A couple of things is that Pickens County is doing an excellent job on keeping the community informed of what's going on with the airport. I know that we lost Jen Uten, who was the project manager for the entrance to Aspen, but we don't know what's going on with the entrance to Aspen right now. I know Jacobs Engineering has been going out there and doing some surveying, and if we could update our websites and keep the community posted. Then the other thing is that, as you know, the city of Aspen, you just recently wrote a letter to CDOT, and you said that you intend to move forward with the remaining elements of the preferred alternative, which I assume is you're going to be taking a look at light rail, because light rail was part of the environmental impact study and the record of decision.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate it. And kudos to all of the emergency response teams.
Very well said. We appreciate your recognition of that effort. Additional public comments?
Afternoon, committee. My name is John Darcy. I live up on Red Mountain Road and lived in the valley in Aspen for 12 years.
Okay.
What I would like to see from the Parks and Recreation Department is this online golf where you can register your name and get the golf tee times for next year. I think that should be all done in person instead of online. There are so many people outside of Aspen, abroad, or in a different state, claiming Colorado citizenship and buying their tickets. So there was a massive amount of delays for me to play golf this year. So I think they should do if you have a local ID, you live in the valley, you should either meet in the car park or be in person when you buy your tickets, either the Gold Pass, Silver Pass, Punch Pass. This online is just, even my real estate company, the husband and wife, they changed their driving licenses from Chicago to Colorado so they can get the benefit of the local golf course, and they don't live here. So I think that's a big issue we're having, and I didn't get to enjoy my golf this year.
Well, thank you for making us aware of this issue, and we'll have the golf department and our IT department and everyone take a serious look at this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah, real quickly.
I don't know a lot about golf, but
Please come on it down.
I've heard several people, John, and thanks for bringing this to our attention. I've heard several people talk about the lack of availability of tee times. So is that the ultimate issue from your perspective, or do you think there's too many passes being sold, or to the wrong people? Like, were you able to buy a pass? You're just not able to use the pass the way that you have in the past?
Well, I bought a pass, but I was pushed off the website on the day, and my ID wasn't recognized. And how we do it in Europe is if you have a local, everything is done in the car park. You have to show up to show your ID. Yes, we can all buy plane tickets anywhere in the world, but if we're really going to push on this, the driving range, that's another, everything is digitalized now, you get a number. But again, that was busy. Like the car park and the golf course this year is like the airport. You can't get parking. So yes, I think if we're really going to do the local thing, and people are down in Florida, wherever, I'm not from this country, so wherever the warm state is before they come up here for the summer, they should be mandatory. If you live in town, you show up and we do the ticket sales.
Got it. But your specific issue this year was you weren't able to buy a pass at all, or you weren't able to utilize
I
the
wasn't
pass?
able to utilize the good tee times. And then, of course, if somebody misses a tee time and they have one of these passes, they should lose their privileges straight away. That's mandatory in Europe. If you have a tee time and you don't pass it on, and you miss it and you don't show up because, oh, I can afford not to, then they lose their pass.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Additional public comment for tonight's meeting? Okay, there being none, and it does not look like there is anyone online for comments. So we will go on with the rest of the agenda, and I will close the public comment meeting. We now go on to council member and mayor comments of the day. Later, we do board reports of the day. So, comments.
One personal and then one council-related.
Okay,
Personally, just started a new job yesterday as an assistant project manager with SH Built. Always feel like profession should be public knowledge given the roles that we have up here, so just announcing that. And professionally, with the council, I've been in touch with a resident of the Burlingame neighborhood. They've been looking to get a bus time starting at 6 a.m. I think it currently is 6:30. He's gotten approvals from Phase 1, Phase 2, and the master HOA, and then verbally has said the Phase 3 HOA has also given approvals to a 6 a.m. bus time. That was just one of the hurdles to get over. So what I'm asking council is for staff to be able to do due diligence to prove that it is warranted and we can budget for it and logistically feasible. So if you need more information, I maybe can say more, but otherwise I'm just asking for approval from other council members and the mayor for that due diligence by staff.
yeah. Well, thanks for following through on that, and I believe you have council support to work with Lim Renball and see what we can do with that, bring back the numbers.
Okay, and that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill?
Sure. Two quick things. One is, I will have to recuse myself from Ordinance 12, second reading, just like I did on the first one, because of my work with Aspen Country Day School and the
Okay.
board and committees there, who are Music Associates of Aspen's partners on the campus there.
Okay.
And then secondly, I've sort of been debating in my head whether to bring this up as part of consent calendar or now, but I'll do now to expedite the consent calendar matter. But this has to do with Cozy Point Ranch, and as I've mentioned up here in the past before, I don't see a ton of utility.
Bill, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think it's best to save that conversation for that item. Christine will have to remove herself from the room because she has a recusal on that one as well. So let's just discuss it at that point.
No problem. I don't have a specific issue or comment regarding
Yeah, no,
regarding either Farm Collaborative or this proposal.
okay, well,
It's more about
again,
Cozy Point Ranch in general, so I don't know if that,
I think we still should hold off.
I don't know what Christine's issue is, but if you're not conflicted on Cozy Point Ranch in general, I think it'd be worth you hearing it, but
My sister works for the Farm Collaborative, so I have to recuse myself from that.
I think
And
that
that's
this
all
is
centered on the
broader.
Cozy Point Ranch and its facilities. I think they're really closely connected. We're going to hear from you. We're just going to have to wait a few
Yeah,
minutes.
fair enough. That's fine, so I'll come back to that
Okay.
for consent.
Any other items? No.
That's it, thank you.
Okay. John?
Yeah, I've just got a couple recent headlines to share. This is from CNN. The Trump administration just recently quietly canceled the nation's largest solar project. Trump administration's cancellation of the largest solar project in the United States has sparked confusion and concern among Republicans and Democrats alike. Known as Esmeralda 7, the collection of 7 solar projects in rural Nevada was set to generate up to 6.2 gigawatts of energy when complete, enough to power 2 million homes. That's an eye-popping amount of power to add to an electrical grid that desperately needs more of it due to the insatiable demand from AI-related data centers and increasing residential needs. And then yesterday in the New York Times, renewable energy is booming despite Trump's efforts to slow it. With federal subsidies ending or becoming hard to claim, companies are racing ahead with solar, wind, and battery projects. President Trump is poised to preside over a renewable energy boom. Yes, really. The administration and its allies in Congress have rolled back clean energy tax credits and thrown up roadblocks to renewable energy projects, efforts that in the long run will mean fewer wind and solar farms will be built than otherwise would have. But any meaningful slowdown in the growth of renewable energy and battery storage in the United States is likely to take a few years. That's because companies are racing to install solar panels, wind turbines, and batteries the size of shipping containers before federal tax credits expire or become harder to claim. The pipeline is so big that analysts widely expect the United States to add record or near record amounts of renewable energy and batteries through 2027. There's this huge hurry-up that is taking place, quote, said Thomas Byrne, chief executive of New York-based Clean Capital, which develops, owns, and operates solar and battery storage projects. That so much renewable energy is poised to be built despite federal opposition reflects just how much momentum the sector has, not just because of subsidies, but because there's tremendous demand for new sources of energy. Solar and batteries can be installed much faster than natural gas and nuclear power plants. Solar and batteries have also become cheaper, while the cost of building gas power plants has soared. This year, renewable energy and batteries will make up 93% of the capacity added to U.S. grids, according to the Federal Energy Information Administration. And then lastly, from BBC earlier today, renewables have overtaken coal as world's biggest source of electricity. Electricity demand is growing around the world, but the growth in solar and wind was so strong it met 100% of the extra electricity demand, even helping drive a slight decline in coal and gas use. So some bad news, but some positive news as well. And I'm pleased that Aspen has embraced clean energy as one of its goals. Thanks.
Thank you for that, John. Appreciate it. Christine?
Yep. John mentioned this, I think, last week during a work session, and I know that Bill was part of moving it forward, but the new playground received 5-star reviews from my kids, so congrats to the Parks Department for getting that done. I think it's a great addition to downtown Aspen.
Fantastic. I have to get by and check it out. I haven't done that yet.
Looks amazing.
Yeah. I have a number of city announcements to go over, and in particularly, if you're a nonprofit, the City of Aspen's 2025 nonprofit grant cycle is now open, making another year of investments in local art, culture, community nonprofits, and human service sectors. Several policy updates take effect within this grant cycle, reflecting feedback from the council and recommendations from the city's grant steering committee. There will be training opportunities for applicants through virtual and in-person sessions. The information session will be held in person on Tuesday, October 14th at 5 p.m. in the Pearl Pass Conference Room located on the 3rd floor of City Hall. Interested parties can RSVP on the city's strategy and innovation webpage. And another information session will be held virtually on Thursday, October 16th at 10:30 a.m. So for more information, go to the strategy and innovation webpage at www.aspen.com.aspen.gov. Excuse me.
For the record, Natalie was sick, and we actually just found out from staff that that session today was canceled. So hopefully it'll be rescheduled.
Thank you for that. This audience participation is really, really helpful. But is the Thursday, the 16th, still a go for the virtual as far as we know?
I'll have to double check, but yeah.
We'll have to double check. So cancel that announcement. Thank you, Breeze. We were really happy to see over 100 residents show up for our Ready and Resilient community event. And as we head into the fall, it's easy enough to think fire season is over, but anymore, fire season is never over. And we need to always be ready. There always can be other catastrophes that you need to go bag for. You need the community plan of where you'll meet your kids after the fact if they're not at home with you. I think we all have seen the tremendous flooding that communities in Pagosa Springs and Durango have experienced, including home evacuations. So there's a lot of reasons to be resilient and ready other than just wildfire. So there's that. The Red Brick Workshop at the Red Brick Center of the Arts is having a mushrooms in watercolor, a hands-on workshop with local artist Amy Beetleman. You can sketch, paint, and bring whimsical mushroom illustrations to life on October 15th. That's tomorrow, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. And the Wheeler Opera House is having some events. It invites the entire community to the Shining Mountain Film Festival, which is taking place on October 17th and 18th, a 2-day celebration of Indigenous filmmaking featuring powerful stories, live Q&A, and exceptional performances by Cirque du Soleil hoop dancer Eric Hernandez. And then the following week, there are the Legends of Native American Comedy on October 24th. And if you'd like to join us, although the kids have already been there, the grand opening and river cutting for the Wagner Park Playground is happening on Monday, October 27th from 3 to 5 p.m. We'll be there for part of that, and then I think we have regular work to do. But we'll enjoy refreshments, ribbon cutting, and bring your family to explore the newly built playground. And the final announcement they had for me is to mention that we do have a new city newsletter. It's a new public-facing newsletter. Our hope is that residents, visitors, and those who work or run businesses here in Aspen will be more informed and stay engaged with the city with regular updates on our municipal projects. I believe the next month's issue, not the current one that's getting ready to go out, but the next one is supposed to be on the entrance to Aspen. So we are trying to get that sort of information out there for you, Tony. And those are the announcements I have today. Other than enjoy what we have this remaining fall weather, and hopefully we'll get some snow soon. Now, we move on to manager's comments or agenda's amendments.
No amendments for the agenda.
Okay?
In terms of manager comments, I'm going to elaborate even further on the newsletter if I could.
Please.
Because I have a few statistics from, the number of folks that received that. I think we had successful delivery of a little over 5,000 individuals on that list.
Wow.
50% of them have already opened it, which is pretty good. We've got some folks that are clicking on the learn more and links underneath certain items. Some of those that are really getting attention are the budget, which is great. We have a lot of folks clicking on the Spanish link, so there's a lot of folks that are looking at it that are bilingual, which is helpful. And the Kids First Financial Aid actually has the third highest number of clicks, so that's really helpful. Sadly, we've had 66 folks say they want to unsubscribe. But that's not too bad out of 5,000 so far. And we actually have had 166 additional folks already asked to be put on the list. So we're net positive, right? So that's a lot of testament to the work that was put into that. And I think it's really going to pay off, and it'll deliver some additional information on certain topics as well.
Thank you.
Aside from that, we heard a little bit on golf. I want to promise that we can talk about that on session 3 for the budget, because we'll have some fee discussions then. And I know that Jim Pratt's here in the room, which he could do tonight, but we'll just wait until the third budget discussion.
Okay.
And I already have confirmation that Thursday, the 16th, is on for the grants session for information. So
Okay, that's the virtual one.
that's probably a true statement.
Yeah.
He probably knows better than I do.
Yeah, based on my.
I think that's largely it, other than to say, council, I wanted to see if you're okay with getting a night back. Monday, the 21st, it was listed as a tentative work session.
Tuesday, the 21st.
Excuse me. I don't think we need that work session, so if you are all okay, we will remove that from the calendar.
Aw.
I
Yeah.
know, quality time.
I asked if they had anything else, but, okay, so we're going to take that meeting off. Everyone gets a Tuesday night back.
Deleted.
Deleted. Thank you very much for that. And I was going to ask the city attorney if you would speak for a moment about the city election information.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The city clerk has added a coordinated 2025 election webpage to the city clerk's website. So it's located on aspen.gov. If you click under the city clerk's tab, there is a specific page dedicated to the coordinated election coming up this November. On that particular page, you will find the 3 city ballot measures. You will find the city's Tabor notice required under Tabor law, and debt notice for the lumberyard measure and the school sales tax measure that you placed on the ballot this upcoming November. In addition, you will find for question 2C that asks voters to approve Ordinance 9 series of 2025, which calls for a charter amendment to amend all gender-specific language to be gender-neutral language, and the full text of Ordinance 9 is also available on this page. So if voters have questions, it's a really good resource. Again, aspen.gov under the city clerk's webpage. Thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Kate. And I also wanted to take just a half a moment and ask if people will indulge me in a quick round of applause for our city attorney, because today is her 5th year anniversary of serving the city of Aspen.
I just thank council and thank the mayor for that recognition, and I very much enjoy my job and serving the city of Aspen and city council. Thank you.
Thank you. You do an excellent job for us. We appreciate that. Okay, now we will go to board reports. Would you like to start, Sam?
Sure. I attended a Board of Health meeting last week. It was very much an October meeting in the sense that it was all about like next year. So we talked about the strategic plan, which was very DEI heavy. We recommended the budget to the BOCC for next year. And then just 3 things of notes that might interest you or might not. Measles cases are subsiding from mostly in Texas. New COVID vaccines, and I emphasize new because they're an actual new vaccine, are available regardless of the federal stuff going on because of an executive order from the governor's office, because I think there was confusion with that about medical insurance covering it. And the last one, I just emailed Jordana, public health director, about this, of large impacts potentially. There's something called a detox licensing overhaul that's happening either next year or the year after that could affect this community. That is all I have because I need more details on it, but I just wanted you guys aware because it could be impactful.
We will keep an eye on that. I actually, this coming October 17th, Friday, will be the Colorado Municipal League Policy Committee meeting virtually on whatever proposals have been submitted through Colorado Municipal League members to be considered in this legislative session. And so I'll see if that measure is there or if it's coming from another area, but we can move to understand it once we see what's going on with it.
Okay, thank you.
That's 9 to noon, right?
9 to noon, yes. And we're set up with Tara to do that.
Cool.
Okay. Board reports on this side of the table. And
I have none.
Did you want to report on IX.A?
I'll do ACRA.
Okay.
When we get there.
Well,
Oh, you guys went up to the blend if you want to report on that, because I was out of town.
well, I'm going to talk so much about Mountain 2030. I thought she'd do APSHA, but she wasn't at that APSHA meeting because she was at the ACRA thing.
Okay. There's always a lot of team tagging going on.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's too much to report. Pete gave a presentation on up to date on the city. We had a presentation from the county, SKICO. A lot of it has been reviewed in this room before, but it was a good group of people. They moved the event to the Sun Deck, and it had the highest attendance it's had in several years. So I think that was one of
Makes
the
a
bigger,
difference.
Yeah, bigger news pieces coming out of it.
Especially with these fall colors.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. John?
So I attended the APSHA meeting, as I stated, and luckily we have Scott Woolley here as well. It was a pretty lively meeting, really. First thing, we had to nominate a new chair and vice chair, and our new chair is Carson Schmitz because John Ward left town. And Scott is our new vice chair.
Congratulations, Scott.
So we had a compliance update. I'm sure people may have seen it, the article in the paper. And right now there are 20 open compliance cases. 15 units have turned over since compliance officer visited them. Little things like when there's a Christmas tree still up in August, it's a sign that maybe somebody's not living there full time. Let's see, yeah, 15 units have turned over without going before the board, easily solved through minor investigations. This process starts with anonymous complaints, which you can do through the APSHA website. There have been 452 compliance actions since April of 2024. That's a lot. Also, an HOA capital reserves update of 50 HOAs eligible, 27 participated, so pretty good cross-section. Roofs, foundations, exterior siding are the most common issues. HOAs that were excluded, some single-family homes, 729 units were ineligible, such as North 40, Smuggler Park, and Lazy Glen. So the ratings were poor to average, there were 4. Average, 17 came in at average. Average to good, 5, and good at 1, which says it's a mixed bag, but the average, every HOA is actually, if you look at the whole thing, the average is above average. So, and no HOA was rated poor. So the data seems to point towards the obvious need to raise HOA fees to meet the coming maintenance needs. We also talked about possibly looking into prioritizing retirees that want to move to rental, such as in the lumberyard, so we can maybe get some right sizing going. And we also discussed doing some projects using economy of scale plans like roofs, doing several buildings at once, replacing boilers with heat pumps, and involving core in some of this work. And also discuss the opportunity of housing the contractors who are going to do the work.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was a great meeting. And that's it for APSHA. And then, let's see, I attended this conference, Climate Summit, called Mountain Town 2030 in Breckenridge last week, over 2 days. There was also a Colorado Association of Ski Towns meeting, because they kind of, it's the same
Overlap.
group of people, except Mountain Town 2030 is ski towns in New Zealand, Japan. Some from Europe attended this conference, and ski towns from all over the West and the East Coast. There was a talk given by ski company's Chris Miller. He is the Auden Schindler's replacement, the Senior Vice President of Sustainability and Advocacy. And he formerly worked for Ben & Jerry's, so very strong environmental cred he's got. And he talked about how important advocacy was. He stated that the most important people for climate advocacy are local elected officials. So, let's see. He also gave an example of environmental advocacy as the I-70 Coalition. And he gave some statistics from a recent Yale survey that says 69% of Americans believe in climate change, 2 to 1 believe it's human caused, and 50% have seen climate change in their neighborhoods. There was also a talk on electrification and energy that our local CEO of Holy Cross gave, Brian Hannigan. He was part of a panel, but he pretty much dominated most of it. Noted that in 2025, right now, 85% of our energy comes from wind, solar, and hydro, and that's more than double the amount that was provided in 2017, which is only 8 years ago. There was also a talk given by the former Secretary of Energy of the country of Uruguay, a guy named Dr. Ramon Mendez Galain. He served as their energy secretary from 2008 to 2015. And he said that 15 years ago, their country was experiencing 6% growth per year, and they had no reserves of oil, gas, or coal. And they had no space for hydro. So they were faced with what to do, and they decided to go with renewable energy. Also, there was an energy shortage in the region. So they went with renewable energy. If you think about it, it's a domestic resource. There's no fuel purchase required, low greenhouse gas emissions. They went from 50% renewable to 99% in less than 15 years, and 40% of the power they added was via wind. Their electric costs have gone down 50%.
Yep.
So that shows you cost stability, and obviously the cost of oil and coal and gas fluctuate, so that's an unstable energy market. And he ended the talk with a quote that he saw in French but translated it, and he said, "Not all crazy ideas are great ideas, but all great ideas are crazy ideas." And he said, "Be brave enough to do crazy things."
Very good. Thank you for that report. For me, I'll try to keep it brief, and I appreciate everyone's patience, how our agendas are set up. Back in October, right after our last regular meeting, I went over to Breckenridge and gave a presentation on a mayor's panel for the magazine Colorado Biz. And they had a mayor's panel about the challenges that we all face with housing, the environment, everything like that. So it was really nice. They had the town of VI.A, Breckenridge itself, and then Idaho Springs represented. So I was the only real one from the further out in the West Slope to talk about some of our issues, and it was a good sharing. The RAFTA board had its meeting on the 9th, and we went over budget priorities for next year and what they're pursuing on the budget. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it, but they did receive some bad news, unfortunately, that Garfield County has said they are not going to support a funding grant for the hogback route this year. And the hogback route cost has been roughly $900,000. It has been, on the generosity of RAFTA and our communities that support RAFTA. It has not had the midday service that it might really need to attract a lot more ridership with a lot of people, but it was something that we've been challenged by. The fee, again, for the past service levels has been about $900,000 a year, a little under that. And RAFTA has received about $560,000 from the Garfield County Commissioners. But they are facing a $9 million budget deficit, and they allocate this out of a grant fund that they have, and that comes from the oil and gas lease revenues and things like that. And they are cutting back and zeroing out a number of their different grants. So the RAFTA board gave direction to continue funding the Hogback Mountain through the winter season and to try to increase that midday gap where there's no service at all. It makes it really hard for someone to want to use the bus to go to Glenwood and see a doctor, and then after the doctor's appointment have to wait 4 or 5 hours to get a ride back home. So, but in terms of longer term, filling that gap and how we continue that service, it's really challenging. And that's something we're all going to be looking at. The other thing that's happening is the Transportation Commission is coming to their annual summer tour, the State Legislative Transportation Commission, and they're going to visit the RAFTA facility on the 15th. I'm going to go down to Glenwood to meet and talk with them about those sort of issues. And we also did our executive director, Kurt's one-year review, and he's gotten excellent comments from all the board members, doing a transition in leadership of an organization that large, that it had a leader such as Dan Blankenship for over 30 or 40 years. I think he's really done a good job making that transition happen, including the community. I have been participating with the Aspen Institute's seminar that sponsored the Hearst seminar series, and it's involving leaders from Rifle, Newcastle, Silt, Parachute, Glenwood, and not just all elected, it's a lot of community leaders in a lot of ways, to think a little more deeply, philosophically about your values and what you can contribute to a community and how best to do that. It's not really project specific like our normal meetings are, so it's a little bit of a refresher in that sense for me. And I believe those are all the meetings I really have to report on. And let's move on with the rest of our agenda.
Rachel?
Yeah, John?
I forgot to mention my CAST meeting.
Okay, please go ahead.
There were some interesting things that I would like to share. So the CAST meeting followed the Mountain Town 2030, and it was held in Keystone, which just recently became an incorporated town last January. Anyway, Eagle County gave this wildfire evacuation planning and execution presentation on the Derby fire, which was in the Flat Tops, and not very far from here, but started by a lightning strike one night. It smoldered for a couple days, and then it flared up one night, and they had some cameras on it. And at midnight, they said, we might have to evacuate tomorrow. So let's see. They got the information out at 6 a.m. They wanted it to get the alerts out before people left for work. And by 8 a.m., they had a physical information center. By 9 a.m., they started evacuating livestock. That's how quickly this went down. And I think we should be aware of that here in this room. Then they talked about fire in Breckenridge, because the Buffalo Mountain Fire in 2018, they had preemptively built a fire break, and without it, they would have lost over $1 billion worth of real estate. Because of they did put in this fire break, they had 0 structures lost. They've also had, in Eagle County, the Ptarmigan Fire in 2021, they had to evacuate 290 homes. The Buffalo Mountain Fire in 2018, we already spoke about, 1,400 homes evacuated. And the Peak 2 Fire in 2017, 400 homes evacuated. We're lucky that hasn't happened here. Breckenridge and Estes Park see this very frequently. They also talked about how Summit County's normal population is 30,000 people, but over the 4th of July weekend, 200,000. And that's why they're looking very carefully at evacuation routes and so on. Then Keystone gave a little presentation about their STR issues, because they were part of Eagle County, and Eagle County was administering them. When they became a town, they started
Dealing with it themselves.
dealing with it. And
If we can keep it a little brief, John,
sorry, the only thing I really wanted to share there was that Keystone's population is 1,369, and they have 2,450 STRs. So that's a population that's about 1/4 the size of ours, I'd say, and they have double the amount of STRs. So I think we've got a pretty good handle on it.
yeah. Well, I don't know if they're counting their STRs as the condo rooms and the condo hotels or not, but it'd be good to get more detail later at some point, how they count
Right.
short-term rental. But appreciate that, and appreciate you attending those meetings. I could not, because I was doing other meetings, and between the team here, we seem to cover a lot of bases. Now, let's see, we're going to move forward with, okay. There is a small, Aiden, on the, I can't see this person's name behind not hearing anything, turn up the volume message. Sorry about that, I'm just technical. Yeah, I don't know if that's someone with a hand up or not, I can't tell. All right, we are going to move on to the rest of our agenda, which includes the consent calendar. And council, I'd like to take the first 2 consent items first, and then we'll have further discussion on the third, because Christine has a conflict of interest and will need to step out of the room for the third item. So the first 2 items on our consent calendar are Resolution Number 138, Series of 2025, City of Aspen Contract Renewal for Oracle ERP Systems. What is an ERP system, Pete?
It's basically a backbone system for all your administrative needs. So your financial needs, your HR system needs, procurement, things of that nature, payroll.
And then we finally got off the Eden system.
Yeah, we retired Eden. It was 19 years old, and it was being discontinued and unsupported.
Okay, so that's the backbone of our IT department. The second item is related to the golf cart. It's Resolution Number 139, Series of 2025. The golf cart fleet for 2026. We cash in the old ones, get a little return deposit on it, and get new equipment. Is there a motion to approve those 2 items from the consent calendar?
So moved.
No, there you go, John, got
I'll
it.
give John that one. And if you could call the roll, please. Mike?
Counselor Benedetti? Yes. Counselor Doyle?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Richards?
Yes. Thank you very much. We'll see you depart and give you a second or 2 there. The next item is going to Resolution Number 141, Series of 2025, the amendment to pay agreement between the City of Aspen and the Farm Collaborative. And I don't know who would like to introduce this item more carefully. The Parks Department folks, there you are, coming up from the back.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Matt Kuhn, City of Aspen Parks and Open Space Director.
John Spees, Senior Open Space and Natural Resource Manager.
Thank you. Just give us an overview for the public and why you're supporting this action.
Great. Well, I'll start and then pass it over to John. As you all know, we're the owners of Cozy Point Ranch. Cozy Point Ranch is comprised of some kind of open agricultural land, as well as an equestrian operation and a farm center run by the Farm Collaborative. The resolution in front of you today is specific to one of the lessees, the Farm Collaborative. In 2023, we went to City Council and allocated some funding to support the cost of a underground septic system to support the development of the Farm Collaborative's Learning Center. That was in 2023. We're now here in 2025. The septic system has been completed, and the invoices and the cost of that total $500,000. So there is a delta of approximately $230,000 of what was allocated in 2023 and what is remaining in this budget allocation. Eden with Farm Collaborative approached the city and asked if that money might be allowed to be used for other components of the Farm Collaborative's Learning Center. And we reviewed that with the city's Open Space and Trails Board in September. And at that time, after some discussion and conversations with Farm Collaborative, our Open Space and Trails Board made a motion to support releasing the remaining funds for certain components of the costs associated with building the Learning Center.
Okay. Can you detail a little more of what the reallocated $230,000 would go to?
Yeah, there's sort of three categories that it falls into. One is a fire suppression system for the building. That's 2 very large tanks that are on site that will feed both the Farm Collaborative building as well as a new hydrant that's on site. Second, water supply. So treating some of the water that is, not some of the water, all of the water that is headed to the new building. These are water quality issues that are being treated. And then finally, irrigation repairs and irrigation needs for the new building and the landscape surrounding the building. So we really consider all of these sort of infrastructure related and support to the building. They are not going towards plumbing fixtures or any of the interior fit and finish components.
Okay. Thank you. And the board's vote was unanimous?
There was one dissenting vote.
One dissenting vote. Okay, thank you for the information. I know Bill had wanted to either make a comment in general about Cozy Point, maybe a little focused on this, but now would be a good time to do that.
Thanks. Yeah, nothing specific about this resolution. I'm fine with it and it conceptually. But on a bigger picture, and I've mentioned this up here before, is I'm just not sure that the city is the right steward for Cozy Point Ranch. And I'm not sure that our continued investments in this property are providing a return on investment to the city. And I have no prejudice against any of the specific operations at Cozy Point. In fact, I support them, and I went to the Farm Collaborative's benefit this year and participated in that, and I think they do great work. I'm not super familiar with the equestrian stuff, but I know we also have a great new archery range there. All of those are nice amenities. I just don't know that the city is the best sort of steward at this, so I wanted to float the idea of exploring options for potentially transferring this property to a better steward who could make better use of this property. I think that there's some options out there. I think this would ultimately require a vote of the City of Aspen electorate, so none of us would have to bear that burden sort of directly of making that decision. But I just think that there's a lot that could be done there over the years. There's some good things happening there, but it's an expensive property to continue to sort of invest in, and it's not congruent with our our property boundaries of the city. I don't really know the history of how we ended up with it. I'm sure you do, Rachel, but it's not that relevant. To me, it's just, I just don't really get why the city owns and controls this. I don't think that we're the best stewards and owners of it. So I wanted to float that conceptually to you guys and see if you're interested in exploring that.
Yeah. Personally, I'm not interested in exploring it. We'll hear from others in a moment. In terms of history, I think it was Tim McFlynn who originally, with perhaps Harry Teague or one other person, brought the property to the city at that time in the 90s, and it had been put up for sale. It used to have a 3-rail metal fence around the edge, and the guy had wanted to raise buffalo there, but he didn't, and he ended up selling it or putting it on the market. And Tim McFlynn and others had gotten a contract with a kind of contingency and a short-term hold to bring it to the city, and they were suggesting at the time that it be appropriate for open space and housing. And that property was kind of a spin-off from the Wildcat subdivision, a little further up there. And it had a deed restriction on it that they could not build any single-family homes for a certain period of time until Wildcat sold all their lots, I imagine, or built their homes. And when the council, John Bennett was mayor at the time, took a look at it, it was like, we really thought, this is really, for many people, the entrance to Aspen, when you start to see that farm and ranch land. And we didn't want to see a number of single-family free market homes in the subdivision of that, because the larger parcel goes up the hill. They, 35-acre subdivision, they would have been able to have, I don't know, whether it's 7 or 9 homes on that flats coming into town. Over time, with urban growth boundaries coming to pass and things like this, there was a lot of exploration of it, but a decision that housing just really wasn't that appropriate, a little too further out of town. We had an executive session at the old the old Truscott area now, which still was a restaurant at that time, to make the decision to purchase it and give direction to staff to begin working on a contract. It was actually my birthday for a retreat. It always happens that way. So I personally think of Cozy Point as a bit of a birthday present, so maybe I should be conflicted out, although I have no pecuniary interest there. But I have found that between people who really like the horse therapy or training horses or working in the equine area, this is really important for a western town. I still recall when we used to have a stables back here where the library is now, and people would ride their horses into town. The other aspect is really what it's doing for our youth and for our children to be participating and learning so much about good soils and how to grow things and produce their own food. So I think it's really become sort of iconic of a part of older Aspen and also part of regenerative Aspen, kind of looking to the best things in us. So that's my personal opinion on it. I think if our Open Space and Trails Board has agreed to support this funding going forward, and I want to acknowledge, Bill, it has been a lot of expense. There's been a lot of investment and the buildings, the drainage, these sort of things. But I think it's something that's a jewel in our collection of open spaces. And I do think it would take a public vote, and I don't know what the cost would even begin to be to recognize that property. It would probably, if it was sold, still have that potential of underlying development rights to become a residential neighborhood. I guess we could strip those off, but losing control of an asset like that is not in my interest. So did you want to make a comment?
Yes, briefly.
And for the record,
Austin Weiss, Parks and Rec Director. I just wanted to add that the Aspen Valley Land Trust does hold a conservation easement on the property that,
as well.
To your point about what could happen with housing, essentially the uses you see out there today are what are allowed within the terms of that conservation easement.
Thank you for that.
And for clarity, I was not suggesting that this parcel should be developed in
I-
a more
no, I
intensive
didn't.
way at all, or converted to housing at all. I just, I just don't think it's congruent with what we do best as a city, and both physically and practically.
I can understand that. John?
I'll add on to Bill's comments. I've done a couple tours out there, and I'm aware of the needs of the maintenance of that structure is going to need, and it is a tremendous amount of money. It is also a tremendous asset, but I do struggle a little bit about the amount of use the average citizen gets out of it from Aspen, and the fact that, without getting too far in the weeds, a lot of people that board their horses out there don't even live in town, as I recall. There was a pretty good percentage anyway.
It's around 50% last time we've checked in on that,
Yeah.
of Aspen residents of the boarding
So-
population.
That just illustrates, I think, what Bill's talking about.
Okay. Well, maybe we will, in the course of the next year, have some bigger discussions on it if the board wants to as a whole. But let's get back to the resolution in front of us. Do you, or if you,
Oh, sure. No, I agree with what you said and understand the concerns, and I would put the impetus back on the Open Space and Trails Board and Parks and staff to bring recommendations on how to better use the property, and also, maybe I'm naive, so I'll turn it into a question of, after these large expenses, will it then plateau and be less expensive to the city? But regardless, I wanted to say, I know you're very much in the weeds with your own budget, and if this was bothering you, I think you would bring it to us, because it would be eating up too much of your budget.
Yeah. I just want to make two quick comments. One, recognize we have invested quite a lot in the property over the last 5 years. That's a result of us owning it since 1994 and really deferring maintenance there for a long time. It was a pretty conscious decision by staff to go ahead and ask for all of the appropriations to do the right thing and get it up to snuff. We do think we're plateauing to a great degree. We have a limited project in the 26 budget to continue to look at the potable water systems on the property, just to ensure that the water we're delivering to the community that uses the space is safe. Beyond that, projects like the boarding facility, housing improvements on the property, we've put all of those out in out years and on the back burner, recognizing some of what we've heard from council over the last couple of years is like to slow it down a little bit. That's where we're at. We could continue to make improvements out there. At this point, we think we're at a really good spot. We've improved stormwater. We've improved water quality in Brush Creek. We've improved safety for the equestrian operations. We've improved the farm center's operations through these contributions to their septic system and clean water in the ground. There's a lot of great things, the archery range, as you brought up. The ranch is in a better state than it's ever been at this point, and I think we're really comfortable letting it ride like that for a while.
thank you. Any further comment, John?
I just want to be clear, I do want you guys to continue on the path you're on. I think, what we have out there is really special.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's enough.
All right, well, in order to bring Christine back and finish our agenda, I need a motion on Resolution 141, Series of 2025. Amendment to the payment agreement between the City of Aspen and the Farm Collaborative.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution number 141, series of 2025.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Mike, would you call the roll, please?
Counselor Doyle?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Richards?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you all for being here. And let's take just a quick 4-minute break, and then we'll go straight into our public hearings.
And I'll drop out for that one.
Yeah. Okay, thank you to our viewing audience. We are now going to move into our public hearing section of the agenda. We have Ordinance number 12, series of 2025. It's a second amendment to a water service agreement between the City of Aspen and the Music Associates of Aspen.
Good evening, Mayor Richards and City of Aspen Council. I'm Erin Laughlin, I'm the Utilities Director, and we have some representatives from the Music Associates of Aspen here tonight if you have more detailed questions that the Water Department can't speak to. We're here tonight to request council approval of this second amendment to the water service agreement with the Music Associates of Aspen. Council has heard the first reading of this amendment on the October 6th special session, and there are no changes from that time till today's reading. In plain terms, the water service agreement that was amended in 2012 with the Music Associates of Aspen was based upon an approved 2008 master plan. That master plan was amended as approved by Pickens County in January of 2024 and represents a different building mix than was contemplated in that initial master plan. The second water service amendment presented tonight recognizes the allocation of ECUs, equivalent capacity units, to the proposed new housing units and related infrastructure improvements. There's no additional water demand capacity requested under this proposed second amendment, as the ECUs tied to the proposed 6 units still result in a total property water service capacity below the service capacity that was approved under the 2012 water service amendment with the associates. I'm happy to go into further details if council has questions or if the public does. In short, the city supports approving this second amendment for water service and would move to motion passage of the ordinance.
Okay. Council members, do you have any specific questions at this time? No. Okay, thank you. I will open the public hearing. Is there any member of the public here or online who would care to speak to Ordinance 12? There being none, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the council table. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 12, series of 2025, the second amendment to the water service agreement with the Music Associates of Aspen?
So moved. To approve.
Okay.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. Mike, would you call the roll, please?
Councilor Benedetti?
Yes.
Councilor Doyle?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Richards?
Yes. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attendance today in case we had other questions. We will now bring Bill back into the room where somebody can grab him. Thank you. Welcome back, Bill.
Because it's not a human.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going to move forward with our action item, that are board and commission appointments. We try to do these once to twice a year, and then occasionally there's vacancies, and we end up doing them a little more mid-year. We have one candidate who applied for HPC, one candidate who applied for the Kids First Advisory Board, and 2 people who have applied for the One Wheeler Board regular opening. I'm going to try something and see if this will work as a motion for someone to make. But I believe that Chip Fuller, who is our current chair of the Wheeler Board, has done an excellent job and has really been fulfilling his duties in a way that, to my mind, deserves reappointment. It's always a challenge because we have very talented people who would like to be on the Wheeler Board, and I'd like to encourage them, perhaps even holding just some open house community meetings with their board to talk to some of these people who have ideas and suggestions. To put Jacqueline Matthews on the Kids First Advisory Board, and to re-advertise for the HPC. I appreciate Mr. Ford applying, but I feel there needs to be more professional experience and familiarity with design plans and the actual requirements that we have in our code that are suggested for HPC members. And that's something that I had really gathered from some early conversations, not about this person specifically, but when I was talking to the HPC chair and then separately the vice chair about the processes we've been using and the Armory project, before we had that hearing, that they really would like us to hold off and not just fill seats with warm bodies, but to make sure it's people who can bring some expertise in those fields to the table. So that would be my proposal, that I would accept a motion to that effect if that's agreeable to the rest of the board.
So moved.
Second.
Comments?
Comments? Yeah. Comments?
I'll start by saying I really like David Crowley, and I think he lives in Snowmass. Otherwise, I would suggest a different board for him. But the ones that have openings don't apply. Only Wheeler allows for outside the city. And then I would be happy with Kyle Ford on HPC. And I also would be happy if he wanted Board of Adjustment or Building Code Board of Appeals. So I would ask him if he'd be interested in those as well, personally. So that's how I feel about it. Otherwise, I'm good with Jacqueline Matthews, and I'm good with Chip.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the Wheeler Board is always a challenge. We've seen some really talented people come through.
I think I share all of the same sentiments.
Okay. I really just, I appreciate Mr. Ford applying and that he's reading a lot of books on the history of Aspen and getting more and more enthused about historic preservation, but I also think it requires people with some sort of design background and experience with those sort of fields. And we've already kind of filled a few spots with people without that experience. And so I think that would be a disservice to our volunteer board. I would be willing to certainly encourage him to apply for the other vacancies, as you've suggested, Sam, and I think that would be valuable. But I'm not willing to tell Chip we've decided to replace him for new blood, and I also am not willing to potentially saddle our board with someone who they would need to really train in at this time when they're looking for more expertise rather than less in their service. Any comments from over here? If your motion is still acceptable to you, we can see where it goes.
Can we
Yeah, we got a second.
Can we offer Mr. Ford one of the other appointments, or does he need to reapply?
You have the discretion to offer it to him. He did
say that he would.
He indicated during your interview that he would be interested in the other boards. I think the mayor asked him that question. Certainly, you can offer him that appointment. He can always decline that appointment. But I think there's nothing that prevents you from offering it to him. We have advertised those positions. So, yeah.
I'd be open to that solution.
Great.
Okay.
I'd offer either, even though Code of Appeals has a regular member, but I'd let them know.
Yeah.
One's an alternate, one's a regular member spot.
Perhaps through his application with his address, we can find his email and send him a little bit of a job description of both of those two boards and what positions are open, and ask him if he would like to take one of those board positions.
Wonderful.
Okay. But let's go forward with the motion that's on the table, which you made and then was seconded. Okay. Mike, would you call the roll, please?
Councilor Benedetti?
Yes.
Councilor Doyle?
Yes.
Councilor Guth?
Yes.
Councilor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Richards?
Yes. Thank you very much. I think that completes our regular agenda, and we will now have some citations about executive session, where we will meet in a different room so that grassroots can go home, but we will not take any formal action in executive session, but we will end up adjourning the meeting formally in a different location.
Thank you, Mayor. We are requesting executive session tonight pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes, Section 24-6-402, subsection 4, subsection A, the purchase, acquisition, lease, transfer, or sale of any real, personal, or other property interest. Subsection B, 4B, conferences with an attorney for the local public body for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions. Subsection 4, subsection E, determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators. And subsection 4, subsection F, personnel issues. The specific items of discussion involve the following. Discussion of potential litigation involving property known as Lot F1 Stage Road PUD subdivision for purposes of instructing negotiators, discussions with and instructions to negotiators concerning the city manager contract, and contract negotiations with the city manager finalist Pete Strecker. Lease negotiations with the Yogis LLC regarding 455 Rio Grande Place. As you noted, it is not council's intent to adjourn from executive session and come back to city council chambers. You would have adjourned from Electric Pass where the executive session is being held. And I would also note for the record that the meeting will be recorded and the recording of the executive session will be maintained by the clerk for not less than 90 days. So thank you. That's the request.
I'll move to go into executive session.
Seconded.
All right. Mike, if you'll call the roll, please.
Counselor Benedetti?
Yes.
Counselor Doyle?
Yes.
Counselor Guth?
Yes.
Counselor Rose?
Yes.
Mayor Richards?
Yes.